What is up, guys? Cool Hand Hefe here, and today we are going to learn how to cruiser. We are on fault line in the Tier 5 American Pensacola. Now, with any cruiser, you really need to make very good use of cover. Some cruisers are crunchier than others, meaning more armored, and some are squishier, meaning less armored. The Pensacola is one of the squishier cruisers out there, so you need to make extensive use of cover. Now, some of your cruisers are going to have very flat gun arcs, meaning you're not going to arc it up, and then some, like the Atlanta, are going to have just enormous gun arcs, so you need to kind of know what you're working with as far as how much of cover you can fire over, the height, as far as that goes. And you can figure that out just by trying it a few times. Now, sometimes when you get ready to fire behind cover, you'll see a little mountain icon. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to block shots, but some of your rounds will go over half or a third or what have you. And granted, you could position yourself further back from the cover to give you a better chance of going over top of it. Or you could just continue firing with, half to two-thirds to a third or what have you if your round's going over. Some damage is better than no damage, and you also have to understand that you're not risking anything simply because they may not even know where you're at, or you may be in a good position firing from said cover. But either way, we're going to have some good examples. Now, you do have to be very cautious because the angles can get a little funky. You can be laying down fire from someone and have excellent cover from somebody, and then as the battle progresses, gets in its adolescence, you will have less cover as people are kind of sweeping around your given flank. So something to think about. Just make sure to watch that mini map in the top left hand corner and keep your head on a swivel. Okay, folks, so let's discuss shell types here while we move in position to get our guns going. Against destroyers, you always want to use high explosive because destroyers are squishy, and if you connect with them, you will decorate them. Against other cruisers, the broadside, you always want to use armor piercing, and you always want to aim at the waterline. Now, if they are coming towards you or away from you, you want to aim at where their guns are. This is kind of the superstructure-esque area, and this will be the way to do it. But of course you can also spam high-X if you'd like, you just won't get as much damage. Against battleships, the broadside of battleships, if they are completely flat to you, you can use armor piercing. Other than that, I would recommend high-X. Set them on fire, make them use their repair kit, and then set them on fire again. That is the way to do it. So just as I was speaking earlier about getting flanked, here we are getting flanked right now. Now, we're not necessarily fearing for our life by this gentleman's guns, as the destroyers have, adequate guns to defend themselves. However, they don't have adequate guns to put the fear into a cruiser. Either way, we put a little heat on him right there. We're up to 11,526 damage, so we're still making it happen. That last volley just did not make it over the island. That's fine. We're still in a very good position as far as protection goes, and we're in a good position as far as shots goes. We have a lot of options here as far as what we want to do as far as lay down the hate. Now, some of it hit the wall there, and it looked to me like some of it went over. Although yep, there it is. I was going to say I can't really tell, and then boom, you get the hit markers. So we're just trying to kind of thread the needle here, folks, and throw some hate right down there. The aft guns managed to hit the island right there, while the bow guns, I think, are the ones that cleared. Either that or vice versa. I can't really tell my orientation because I end up being in the scope so long during a game. Either way, we're still raining on this gentleman right here, and this is ideally what you want, folks, as a cruiser. You want them to not have any idea where the pain is raining down from. And you can really utilize these islands more than you really think you can, because this is textbook cruiser stuff right here, folks. The other gentleman right there took some rounds there from the front, or sent some rounds there from the front, and now he's getting in a position to where he could possibly return fire. But he's going to be dead by that time, hopefully, anyway, you know, if everything goes to plan. Up to 16,000 damage, and we're making it happen. We're not necessarily, you know, going up leaps and bounds, for example, like a battleship, but, you know, it's death from 1,000 cuts. We're in here, we're going to keep the guns running, we're going to keep it happening. We have another gentleman pulling out here in the same situation. Now, we are spotted by a plane, but unless we start taking some serious rounds or some fire is coming towards us, we're not too concerned. And the reason I'm not moving around a lot right now, folks, or at all, is because I'm in a good spot, I'm protected, and I can do my thing. And you don't necessarily need to, you know, necessarily sail all over the map, for example, while you've got a good spot, good coverage, what have you. However, you do need to make sure that you're not going to make yourself an easy target for anyone. That's why you need to make sure to check your sectors, watch to make sure nobody kind of creeps up on you and can get shots on you. Because if a battleship hits you and you're broadside and you're stationary, there's a high probability it may kill you outright. So something to think about. Up 26k now. We're going to go ahead and start moving here. Kick over the engines. We have some gentlemen here to our left, as you can see. And we're going to see if we can't push up and possibly get some rounds on target. We are bringing the guns around, and the guns aren't necessarily blistering as far as their traverse speed, but you know what? They'll get there eventually. Now this gentleman's kind of pushing up towards our location. Not necessarily sure if he has fired fish at someone or he's kind of looking at us. He has definitely gotten some attention from someone else, and that is perfect because we don't want to be the only one he's firing at. It looks like we possibly bounced around there, which is a good thing. And if you're at the right angle, guys, you are going to bounce some rounds. It just depends on what type of gun is shooting you. If that had been a battleship, there's a high chance we might not have bounced that at all. We're going to throw some hatred here at this gentleman. Did a decent hit. Ended up getting a citadel. And we have someone on the right hand side here. So what we're doing here is we're getting in a position to bow tank. And now we're going to put some rounds on target. Now a lot of times, guys, what you can do in this given position, if you have two enemies before you, you can bow tank one of them and fire on the other with all of your guns, or you can end up angling up and pointing the bow in between both of them. That way you will have good angle for both, which, you know, will facilitate bouncing rounds, what have you. So either way you can kind of make that happen. You just kind of have to choose. We fired some AP there. Did not happen for us. We're burning a little bit. Let's go ahead and get that taken care of. As a cruiser, I am not a fan of burning to death. If I'm in a battleship, I am 100% okay with it. Now, we have a number of bad guys behind us. We are on fire again. We're going to put some rounds right there into that gentleman's waterline. We did manage to get some citadels, but we saw a couple bounce, and that's to be expected. The angle he's at, the angle we're at, does not facilitate good murder. But we managed to get some more citadels there, knock that guy down. He is out of the fight, which is perfect because less guns shooting at us is what we want right now. We still have multiple enemies out here, and they are tired of our crap, and we are moving on, and we are getting out of that area. And guys, when you're in a situation like this and you are in a cruiser, you want to make yourself look like the smallest threat available. And what you need to take away from that is you need to turn around and go the opposite way, get behind cover, what have you. You need to have someone closer to the bad guys than you are. And the reason I say that is most ships, most bad guys, most other players will shoot at the closest ship out there. It's just a normal type situation. Now, granted, of course, this is all assuming everybody can see everybody. Now, granted, you know, there may be cover which there is islands would have you blocking LOS, line of sight, so you know, something to think about. But in this case, you definitely don't want to be a appealing target, and that's why I say when you're going away, don't go away at an angle, just fall back at a straight. You want to be parallel with the rounds coming in other words. That way dispersion will work in your favor, and there's not a good chance they're going to get tons of rounds on target. They're probably going to shoot you, but they're not going to get a whole lot of rounds on target, which is what we're looking for in the end. We want to kind of minimize the amount of damage we take so we can kind of come back around and actually get in there and make something happen. You know, you don't necessarily want to go in there and get completely decorated if you get rooted out of your hiding spot, kind of like we did. So we're firing on this gentleman right here, and we're just running the front super firing guns. And your super firing guns, folks, I refer to this quite a bit, are the ones on the fore and aft that are stacked on top of each other. Those are known as super firing guns. Moving on, as you can see here, we are using said super firing guns to decorate this gentleman. However, we do not want to kind of swing our rear end out to get all guns on target, because he will absolutely put the hurt on us. So we're kind of being very cautious, and we're essentially playing it safe, so to speak. And this is what you can do. Now granted, of course, you're losing 50% of your firepower. That's fine. I would much rather play defensively than go out there and try to throw, you know, my rounds. Now granted, he just fired on us, so we know for a fact that he's empty, he's reloading. So we go ahead, kick the side out, lay the smack down on him, set him on fire. And I feel like we have a decently brisk reload to where I can possibly try it again without getting absolutely killed. Now we are going through the shot there. As you can see, the point where we made the shot, and then we're just following through. And the reason we're doing that is because we knew more rounds were coming in. And by minimizing our profile, he managed to get nothing on target. None of those rounds connected. We're going to go ahead and fire on him again. And this is textbook how to cruiser right here, folks. If you glean anything from this video, this is what you need to get. When he's firing at you, you angle up. When he's not firing at you, you broadside out in order to get all your guns. So that gentleman is off the map, and we're coming back around looking for the remaining two fellas. And we're going to track these guys down, hopefully put some rounds on them without getting murdered ourselves. And as far as the team goes, we're doing very well. We've got the amount numbered, looks like 2-1. Now granted though, when you're this late stage in the game, sometimes it can be difficult to bring the power of the entire team on one or two guys, simply because so many people can be so vastly out of position. But that's neither here nor there. We have this gentleman here to our 12. We're going to put some rounds on him. Trying to get the guns lined up here. We are shooting AP at him, and he is a fellow Pepsi Cola, and we decorated the mess out of him. Almost killed him ourselves, and now we're taking some return fire. But that's okay, that's perfectly fine. We've got a little health to burn. As long as we're not giving up straight broadside shots, we should be fine, you know, in order to take a little bit of heat here, if we had to. Not that I'm saying we have to. That's why I'm bow tanking this guy. I'm not a fan of taking damage. And I feel like if I am in a cruiser and you're going to shoot me, you really need to work for it. Now, granted, of course, that may always not be the case, as occasionally we all make stupid decisions from time to time. Swung the side out there, put all the rounds on him. Not really seeing a large effect, sadly, but that's okay. He just fired at us. We're going to do the same thing here. And once again, guys, textbook how to cruiser right here, folks. Swing the rear end out, fire. By the time the rounds get there, you can come back. Now, granted, of course, I had an issue just simply because those two aft guns were not being friendly and getting on target like they should. So we did take more damage than we should have, and we weren't necessarily super effective in laying it down, if that makes sense. We had a very good game on Fault Line, very effective. We played our role, I feel like. 93,746 damage. Just recently bought the Pensacola, by the way, so really enjoying it. Guys, I hope you enjoy. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and we will see you next time.